Hi, everybody, and welcome into It's Official. Jeff Seigel and Jeremy Plonk. If you've never seen nor heard us, we're going to be a little bit unconventional in this series as we look back at the week's main events over the course of the last several days. And Jeff, I say it's not official until you or I say so.
That's right. We're laying down the law here. It doesn't exist unless we say it does. And looking back at last week's prep races for the Kentucky Derby and the Triple Crown races, lots to talk about, lots to evaluate. We have opinions, and we are going to share them with you.
Well, we'll have 5 topics for you each week, plus a bonus topic as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's talk about what's on the schedule for this week. And we go right to our first topic. It's the Florida Derby fallout. What happened down at Gulfstream this past weekend? We're going to show you the race now, and Jeff and I are going to give you our take on the other side.
And they're off in the Florida Derby. Excellent beginning for Classic Causeway from down toward the inside. Simplification was way in good shape today, and he's up to challenge from second. Papa Cap gets away in third. Wide around the first turn is White Barrio. The race favorite Charge It drops in mid-flight. He's about 4 lengths behind. Then it's O Captain racing ahead of Clapton and King of Truth. Cajun's Magic is third last. Steel Sunshine is second last. And 11th and last is Strike Hard as they chase the Tampa Bay Derby winner Classic Causeway to the backstretch run. Classic Causeway relaxed up front. He leads a half a length. Simplification will not let him get far second. 3 wide Papa Cap third. Luis Saez has Charge It fourth at the rail. He's racing together with the gray White Barrio. A gap of another 2 to Clapton, who's outside of O Captain. Then it's a length and a half to Cajun's Magic. King of Truth and Steel Sunshine race together about 10 lengths off the pace. And still at the back is Strike Hard. The opening quarter was 23-3. The half mile was 47-1. Half a mile to go in the 2022 Curlin Florida Derby. We have a new leader. Simplification has powered past Classic Causeway, who backpedals. Papa Cap looms a threat on the outside. White Barrio takes third. Up to fourth is Charge It. Dropping back is Classic Causeway. Then Clapton and O Captain as they run to the top of the stretch. Up front, Papa Cap doing battle with Simplification. 3 wide, White Barrio. Charge It getting ready to launch his bid. He's 3 lengths off the lead, but gaining ground with a quarter of a mile left to go. Now at the top of the stretch, Simplification bracing for an oncoming White Barrio. Papa Cap is very game between horses, and Charge It swings into action on the far outside. There's an 1/8 of a mile to go. White Barrio takes over from Simplification. Charge It with a late say down the center. 16th to run. White Barrio almost home. Charge It shifts ground. White Barrio still there, and White Barrio wins the Florida Derby for Safi Joseph Jr. from Charge It in second and Simplification third. Papa Cap ran fourth. The time for the race, 1:50.3.
So, Jeff, in the Florida Derby fallout, what's your take on this one? I bet Luis Saez would like to have that last right-hand stick back that he gave Charge It coming down the stretch there. He was coming in. He went right-handed, and he dove in a little bit too much there. Did that get the horse beat? Did that save the day for White Barrio? What's your takeaway?
I think that is probably an accurate assessment of the race. White Barrio actually got into a great spot. He was outside, but no dirt in his face, no reason to check or anything. He was out there where he was happy. Charge It was down on the inside. You'd figure that might be a better place, but not with a horse who's never had dirt in his face. And Charge It made so many mistakes in this race. First of all, he didn't break that well and gave up the position that I thought he was going to enjoy where White Barrio ended up. And then he was down on the inside, and he was climbing and doing all these kind of stupid things. And then he was lugging in, and Green switched leads back and forth and still only got beat a length and a quarter. But, Jeremy, I'm not sure how strong a race this was. They went the last 3/8 in almost 40 seconds. And while the track may have been a little deep, I don't know what to make of it. I mean, you got to tip your hat to White Barrio. He's 4 for 4 at Gulfstream. But I'm not sure if we saw the Kentucky Derby winner in this race.
Well, White Barrio's been sick between his starts for his last 2 races. He won the Holy Bull after missing training time. He won the Florida Derby after missing training time. Now, you give credit to Safi Joseph in that respect, but can you pull that again and win the Kentucky Derby? The other thing becomes, look, the Derby's a microscope, and everybody's on top of you. If this horse misses training time, things get really dicey around the Derby. I think if you're a White Barrio backer, you like what you see on paper. But boy, that history of getting sick between starts, they always say you can't win the Derby if there's a straw in your path. Well, this horse has had 2 temperatures now between his last 2 starts. He can't have that happen again before the Derby, I wouldn't think.
No, you can't. But on the other hand, you might say, well, he wasn't maybe at his best. He missed 10 days of training. He missed a couple of works. So on the other hand, you could say, well, he can't do that. We know that. He can't get sick again. But, he did overcome it and win. And he has good tactical speed. But he has been the beneficiary of 2 really good trips. Even though he's been wide, he hasn't had that kickback in his face. And you got to get really lucky to get that kind of trip in a 20-horse field in Kentucky. So I give credit to White Barrio. I wish he would have been able to earn a triple-digit buyer number. He wasn't able to do that. And again, that slow final 3/8 of a mile, last eighth in 14 seconds. Going 1.25 miles with pressure on, that is going to be problematic for any horse coming out of this race. If I had one to take out of it, it would be Charge It. But I don't know whether he's experienced enough. He did so many things wrong in the race here,
right?
And he's going to have to grow up in a hurry. So I don't know what we make of it. Simplification, Jeremy. I mean, I thought he'd be better off if they took him back and made a run.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They put him head and head on the lead, and I don't know if that's the way he wants to run. So I guess maybe they'll try something different in Kentucky. Let me ask you this about Classic Causeway, though, Jeremy. I mean, at least I liked him going.
I like him, yeah.
But I had to face the fact that he wasn't fast on figs, and it looked like the figs won out here, the slow figs, because he just gave it up.
Yeah, and he gave up, 2.5 furlongs out, 3 furlongs out. It's surprising the way he backed up and dropped anchor through the field. You can't imagine, even with the points, he has plenty of points to run in the Kentucky Derby, but you can't imagine they press on at this point. Maybe you cut back to the Pat Day Mile, but the way he ran in this performance, it seems like a horse maybe that time off is coming for before you throw him right back into the fire. You hope that he didn't bleed or something like that, the way the horse dropped back through the field. So Classic Causeway, you've got to check the workout tab coming forward. How quickly does he get back on the tab if you're going to look at him in shorter races? But as far as the Kentucky Derby or Triple Crown prospect, that bandwagon has emptied.
For sure.
Let's go.
I liked him, and like I said, I would never even consider running him in the Kentucky Derby if I owned him based on this race.
Let's go to our second topic this week. It's Cut to the Chase and Cyberknife in the Arkansas Derby. Let's take a look at it.
They're off. Good start. Kavad and Chasing Time, a hard-scent doppelganger. Cyberknife is in the mix, and We the People could be 5 wide at the clubhouse turn. Flavian Pratt will not have any of that. He's going to take him back and drop over. Then comes Barber Road, Secret Oath, and Unoho, and the early trailer is Ben Diesel. Around the clubhouse turn, it is Kavad. He's a length and a half in front of Chasing Time and Doppelganger. Doppelganger wanted the lead. He's done no better than third early. 2.5 to Cyberknife. Then comes We the People. Secret Oath is outside of him, and outside of her is Ben Diesel. Then a length to the Rebel winner Unoho, and Barber Road is between horses. Only 6 lengths first to last. Up the backstretch in the 86th Arkansas Derby, Kavad is the leader. He's 5 furlongs from the wire and leads. Here's an early move from Cyberknife. He's going to split horses and be a joint second inside of Chasing Time. Doppelganger is 4 deep, and he's 2 from the front. Secret Oath is last, leaving the backstretch. Then comes Unoho. They round the far turn, and Kavad has the lead, but Cyberknife is right alongside. Now Secret Oath is unwinding. She's just gone from last up into third, and look at this move from Secret Oath. She's within 2 of the lead. There's a 1/4 mile to run in the Arkansas Derby. Cyberknife has put away Kavad, but he has to deal with Secret Oath in the center. Then comes Barber Road, a final furlong. Cyberknife, here comes Secret Oath on the outside. She's still 2 lengths behind. Cyberknife, Secret Oath is not going to get by the Arkansas Derby winner, and his name is Cyberknife. In front. Cyberknife won. Barber Road got into second. Secret Oath was third. Maybe.
So it's cut to the chase with Cyberknife, the winner of the Arkansas Derby. And Jeff, that was a very bold backstretch move. The kind of get you beat most of the time. When you make a move like that, 4 furlongs, 5 furlongs from the wire, it's hard to sustain. But since they came home in 26 for the fourth quarter and 13-1 for the final 1/8 of a mile, did we get an illusion with Cyberknife that he was able to sustain that run because nobody came from the back? Your takeaway from this race, the Arkansas Derby?
Well, they did run the last 3/8 in a very slow 39-1, so nobody was running, and that includes Secret Oath, who kind of hit a wall inside the 16th pole, trying to make an extended run. I'm going to give her an excuse for that race, but not enough to expect that maybe she shouldn't be in the Kentucky Oaks rather than the Derby, because that's where she belongs. Barbara Road kind of picked up the pieces, but it also verifies what we've been talking about in the last several weeks with regards to the 3-year-olds in Arkansas. They're just not really top class. And Cyberknife, who came into this race off a confidence building win, but he had never really done anything to indicate to me anyway that he was a top class 3-year-old. Numbers wise, he earned a 92 Beyer number in this, which was good enough to win, but it's usually not. So I'm not looking for any serious Kentucky Derby challenge from any of these horses. I think Cyberknife, of course, he's by gun runner, so he's got a right to get better, and maybe he will. If I owned him, I'd run him in the Kentucky Derby. Why not? You just never know, because he does look like a colt that will give you everything he has. But this race alone is not going to make him a contender. He'll probably be a pretty good price at Churchill Downs.
Well, I like stats. No horse who's gone from the Arkansas Derby and won the Kentucky Derby who won in Hot Springs and won 50 or more. I mean, the horses who have won the Arkansas Derby have put up big times, 148, 149, but no horse that went over 150 has won the Kentucky Derby coming out of the Arkansas Derby. And, Cyberknife, it was an interesting quarterbacking, if you will, or coaching by Brad Cox, because he had Zozos win the allowance race at Oaklawn, decided to send him to Fairgrounds. He had Cyberknife win the Fairgrounds allowance race and decided to send him to Arkansas. You wonder if timing had a little bit to do with it. One horse is able to come back a little quicker than the other, or maybe needs a little more time between starts. Curiosity that the horses who prepped and got that springboard allowance win switched locales, but it worked out for Cox because he got both of them into the Kentucky Derby. And as we'll see a little bit later, he's going to end up with a third horse in the Kentucky Derby after this weekend. So Brad Cox's barn looked like it didn't have much this year coming into February. Now he's going to end up with 3 horses in the starting HF. And, of course, he's the winner of last year's Kentucky Derby with Mandaloon. So he's going for back-to-back. And, hey, it's unconventional. Anything can happen, right?
Well, sure. And like I say, Cyberknife, bred like he is, he's a good-looking colt. He's progressing nicely. I don't think he'll run badly in Kentucky, but there are still a few others that have a considerable edge in terms of raw natural talent that he'll be facing. But hey, you never know. I've seen worse win the Derby, and you got to go if you win this race, the Arkansas Derby. Again, I don't see a whole lot behind him here, but things can change.
All right, let's not leave this Arkansas Derby go without a comment about the ride on Secret Oath. You called it hogwash, which is old school. Luis Contreras, not on the Christmas card list, I'm assuming, Mr. Seigel?
I liked her going into the race, and I was afraid that maybe she wouldn't get the top-class ride that maybe some of the others would get. This is a jockey who's an 8% rider at the meeting, and he'd ridden her, and there's no reason to take him off of her. But now there's plenty of reason, because I didn't like it the way he was. I mean, she's a deep closer. The pace, you had to look at the form and figure it's going to be fast. You wanted her to sit back. I'm not saying she had to pull a Zenyatta and come from 25 lengths back. But what I would have expected him to do was to grab her early, let her settle, not participate down the backstretch where the others were going to be flying, and just kind of make the last run from the quarter pole home and pick up the pieces. But he was too close. He was between horses. He got shuffled back the last. And then from the 3/8 pole, he had to move, I guess, way too soon, way wide, right into the teeth of a part of the race where the leaders were still fresh. It was an impossible situation for Secret Oath, and it totally understanding why she kind of flattened out in the final stages.
So if you're D. Wayne Lucas, what do you do moving forward to the Kentucky Oaks? Contreras, an accomplished rider in Canada. He's won some of the biggest races at Woodbine, all the big ones really up there. But as far as an American Classics rider, and you talked about the percentage at the Oaklawn meet, you've got to go to your bag of tricks, I think, and come up with somebody else. You mentioned the name Zenyatta and a closing filly. I think Mike Smith could be available for the Kentucky Oaks. Would be a pretty nice fit for this filly, I would have to think.
Yeah, there are a few Hall of Famers out there that he probably could entice to ride a filly like this. The Kentucky Oaks is going to be a great race, and Secret Oath, I do believe, would have the ability to win a race like that, but you have to know what works. Now, I think that he's going to, everybody's ridden for Wayne. He can pretty much get anybody he wants, and it'll be interesting to see who gets the call. But the one thing I am fairly confident is it will not be Luis Contreras.
All right, now I went back into the Wayback Machine and I looked up Lucas's 4 winners of the Kentucky Oaks. You want to hear these jockeys? Angel Cordero again, Bill Shoemaker, Chris McCarron. Pretty good riders that have ridden the Lucas Kentucky Oaks winners. On that Mount Rushmore, Luis Contreras is only a tourist with a ticket. He cannot be on that Mount Rushmore with those Lucas riders, so he's got to go to a Hall of Famer here, doesn't he?
You would have to think, if you're a jockey's agent trying to get on this mountain, I'm sure he's gotten about 20 calls since that race last weekend. You need not apply unless you've got a Hall of Famer, because Wayne will find one. And this guy deserves one, by the way.
Let's go to our next topic here. It's perfect and getting faster. Who are we talking about? Kathleen O from the Gulfstream Park Oaks. She's number 7 in this video. Let's go back and take a look.
They're in the gate. Racing in the Gulfstream Park Oaks. Good start for Amani's Image, who heads off for the early lead. Cancel This, speeding through at the rail. Long shot Blustery gets started 4 wide, with Running Legacy 3 wide. The 2 big favorites are the last 2 to begin, with second last running Goddess of Fire, a length better than Kathleen O. She does her best running later, and she's last of the lot as they chase the speed of Cancel This. Cancel This leads by a length and a half over Amani's Image in second. Blustery is racing together with Running Legacy, their third and fourth. 2 back to Goddess of Fire, who finds herself fifth, about 5 lengths off the pace, and she's a length in front of Kathleen O, who bides her time last of all with less than 6 furlongs to run. The opening quarter was reasonable, 24 seconds flat, with Cancel This trying to slow it down mid-race. Up to second is Amani's Image, and Blustery is in the white blinkers under a loose rein. Running Legacy is behind the speed, and Goddess of Fire begins to creep closer. She's way out in the center. The trailer is Kathleen O, but she starts to pick up her feet as they make their way half a mile from the finish. 48-1 for that opening half-mile speed. With the advantage, it's Cancel This. Here's Goddess of Fire making her bid. Kathleen O warming to the task and doing so very nicely. And here's the matchup. Goddess of Fire gets first run on Kathleen O, and they begin to sprint past the 5/16. That's all for Cancel This. Then Blustery as they run to the top of the stretch. Goddess of Fire driven hard, but holding command. Kathleen O needs to get another rally going, 5 ahead of the rest. 3/4, 1:12-2. They make their way to the top of the stretch in the Gulfstream Oaks, and now Kathleen O shifts gears, and she's up to take the lead. Goddess of Fire has done everything she can, but she can't stay with Kathleen O, who's on her way to Louisville for the Run for the Lilies. Kathleen O, the Gulfstream Park Oaks winner by 2.5 lengths. Goddess of Fire was second.
So she's perfect, Jeff. She's still getting faster. Is she the horse to beat in the Kentucky Oaks now after our most recent look at her at Gulfstream Park?
It's interesting you brought that up, because she got a buyer number. Now, the buyer numbers aren't the end all, but just for the purposes of comparison, earned the 98 buyer number and 2 points better than what Barrio earned in his win in the Florida Derby. And compare that with Echo Zulu's buyer number in the Fairgrounds Oaks of 88. You can see how fast she ran. And you mentioned that she's getting faster with each start, 67 to 78 to 85 to 98. And to me, she is progressing with every start. She proved to me, I didn't have that much doubt, but she proved to me that she could get 2 turns. All of her previous races were coming from behind on a 1-turn situation. Looks to me like a mile and a half, well within her range. So you got Kathleen O, you got Echo Zulu, you got Adair Manor, you got Nest. I mean, you got an incredible group of 3-year-old fillies. There's 4 of them I just mentioned right there headed to Kentucky. That's going to be a great race. But right now, I don't think Kathleen O has to take a backseat to anybody.
No, and you look at the trainers there. We already saw Lucas's filly. You mentioned Nest for Todd Pletcher, who's going to go at Keeneland this weekend in the Ashland. Adair Manor on the West Coast, the former Baffert trainee. Just Echo Zulu for Steve Asmussen, and then Shug there with his filly. I mean, you've got a tremendous group and an accomplished group of trainers. It's going to be hard to break into that trifecta with that big bopper group at the top of this year's Kentucky Oaks. I don't think there's a standout favorite amongst the group, which makes it for a great betting race. And when you look Oaks Derby doubles and those 2-day wagers and things like that, when you just don't have that easy punch ticket in the Oaks, that can really blow up those kind of tickets. So it makes it more exciting for people looking ahead to play the Kentucky Oaks and the multi-day wagers coming up at Churchill Downs in a few weeks.
Well, I'm going to be watching Adair Manor when she runs this weekend at Santa Anita in the Santa Anita Oaks for a new trainer and we'll discuss about that possibility and how that impacts things out here. But right now, this is a stellar group, and I was very, very impressed with Kathleen O. She won the race by almost 3 lengths, 17 lengths back to the third horse, and again, faster than the Florida Derby and with a better buyer number. So Kathleen O, to me, is the real deal.
The one caveat is every time there's a big race day, there's a horse on the undercard who catches everybody's attention. Kathleen O was the horse in a subpar or just kind of pedestrian type Florida Derby day where she was the star and she stood out. We've seen this so many times with maidens, allowance horses, undercard stakes winners. When somebody wins in a high profile day, everybody sees it, everybody jumps on it. So will Kathleen O's performance be overinflated because everybody saw it on a big race day undercard? That's what we'll have to find out when they get to Kentucky for the Oaks. Our final of 5 main topics this week before we get to our bonus. We're talking about horse 4 Kenny McPeek named Tiz the Bomb. Should he dance in the Kentucky Derby as announced on the Steve Bick Show on Monday by Kenny McPeek? Or should they keep that European plan going for this potential turf star? Let's go back and look at the Jeff Ruby on Saturday, his victory that puts him in the Kentucky Derby.
And they are racing in the 51st running of the Jeff Ruby Stakes. Good beginning for all. Quick start from the outside for Swing Shift. Also great escape to Flashing Speed. And from between those two, as expected, Dowajack Chief is forwardly placed. Tawny Port came racing in the 4th position. Cabo Spirit is 5th early. Tiz the Bomb hovers to the outside of that one in 6th as they take on the first turn. Stolen Base from between horses towards his inside is Royal Spirit. A link for the back to Red Run, who's about 2 or 3 in front of Constitutional Lawyer, and Rich Strike is last of them all. They work around the turn with 6 furlongs to go. The first quarter of the Ruby was 23-1. The leader, Dowajack Chief, just from Swing Shift. Down on the inside, Great Escape is 3rd as they continue to run up the backside. Deep on the course, there goes Tiz the Bomb to engage from the extreme outside. It is Tawny Port. In between horses, sandwiched is Opti-Go-Go. Down along the inside, Royal Spirit is next. A half mile, 47 seconds flat. The leader still Dowajack Chief and James Graham show the way a length and a half to Swing Shift. From between horses, Cabo Spirit to the inside. There goes Tiz the Bomb, who blasted up to the outside of Tawny Port. Those two moving together as the half mile, 47 seconds flat, just outside. A quarter to go here in the Ruby, 3/4, 11-1, and they stack up 3 deep, and Tawny Port comes calling for the lead. Dowajack Chief is being implored for some speed. Tiz the Bomb to the outside in 3rd, and Stolen Base has kicked it into gear. He's going to kick wide for the drive. Top of the home stretch of the Jeff Ruby, and Tiz the Bomb forging to the front. Tawny Port under a full-out drive to the inside in 2nd. Up the inside, still fighting on Dowajack Chief. Late on the scene, down the center comes Opti-Go-Go, 1/16 to go. Tiz the Bomb is still there. Tiz the Bomb indeed. Wins wrapped up the end by almost 2.5. Tawny Port was 2nd. The running time for Tiz the Bomb, 1:48.3. And Tiz the Bomb a perfect 2 for 2 on the synthetic.
Well, Jeff, the decision to go to the Kentucky Derby has been made, and I think with Kenny McPeek, he's got a situation where he's got 2 horses. He's got Smile Happy. He had Rattle and Roll on the trail. Maybe he can still backdoor in with him. But strength in numbers. McPeek is a guy who in 1995 had his first Derby start. He debuted with Tejano Run, running 2nd in the Kentucky Derby. He's a Kentuckian, and he hasn't come close to the Kentucky Derby since. He's been off the board in 5 subsequent starters on Derby Day. He does have the 2nd with Tejano Run. He had to think he would get back sooner than this, right? When you just miss in your first Derby start, you got to think it's going to be your day. And for these Kentuckians, they want to win the Derby more than anything. I think it's the right decision. Kenny owns a piece of this horse. Magdalena Farms, he owns the horse with his family. This is a horse who I think has to run in the Derby. I think they have to make that decision. And look, you can always go over if you want to go for the Epsom Derby. It's June the 4th. So if it doesn't work out in the Kentucky Derby, you got a month maybe to head over to Epsom. That would be a tall ask, but it's not impossible.
No, I think he should run. I mean, look, it's the Derby, and he looks like he'll stay 1.25 miles. He's won on the dirt in the past, although the race in the Holy Bull on the dirt when he was beaten 20 lengths by Wadabario. That obviously wasn't his day, and he looked much better, I thought, in this race than he did physically in that race. So he's come around nicely this spring. He will be making his 4th start. He should be dead fit. He's a quality horse. We've seen him work on the dirt with Smile Happy. He's more than held his own doing that. So why not? I mean, look, but again, I always say, if Mind That Bird can win a Kentucky Derby, anybody can. And at least this horse has credentials. So if I owned him, would I be there? Absolutely.
I was the pool reporter, the notes team guy who covered Mind That Bird back in 2008. I was the only person at his barn all week until Sunday. Then everybody came around his barn. Nobody saw it coming. I remember Chip Woolley asking me on his crutches, the next morning, did you bet him? Did you bet him? I'm like, hell no. How could you have bet that horse in the Derby? So, hey, anything can happen. But Tisk Bomb's a legitimate horse. His dirt race that he did win by 14 at Ellis Park, I went back and looked at the chart, and the runner-up is still a maiden. It was an off-the-turf event. The runner-up hasn't hit the board since being second to him that day in a 5-horse field. So we know he didn't beat much on the dirt that day. Probably his dirt performance in the Holy Bull is more indicative of his dirt skill. But like you said, he trains well over it. There's only one Kentucky Derby, and there's only one lifetime for these horses to get there. 3-year-old, one day in your life to win it. I think it's the right move. And if you want to go to England, there are plenty of races to head over to England with him at another time. Let's go to our bonus topic on the show this week, Jeff. We've done our 5, and now our bonus topic is Bob Baffert has been sidelined and penalized for 90 days, suspended. His horses have been dispersed. Now, what do we do as handicappers? If you're handicapping the races, we can have our opinions on what's right or wrong on the Baffert situation, but now let's just talk about it as horse players. What do we do with his horses as they move on to other barns?
Well, that's a good question, because the horse players out here in California are going to have to make that decision. Most of these horses are going to Sean McCarthy. A few have gone to Tim Yakteen. Sean on the left is a really, really good horseman. I've known him for 20 years. He was a colleague of mine at HRTV. Tim Yakeen, of course, married to Millie Ball, who's been a colleague of mine for the same time. So I know these two trainers very well. They're good horsemen, but they're not Bob Baffert, who is, The question is, when Sean takes over some of these Baffert horses and starts saddling them, same thing for Tim. Does the horse player assume they're going to run just as well, or do they have a wait-and-see attitude? Here's what I'm going to do as a horse player. I'm going to assume, until proven otherwise, that they'll run just as well. Most of the horses he has have proven form. I've watched them train. They seem like they're training just as well for the new trainers that they have. Now, obviously, there's Sean's got an edge because he's got Jimmy Barnes, who is Bob Baffert's assistant, staying on his assistant. So they won't miss a beat. And I think when we see what these Baffert horses run next weekend and down the road, I think you're going to see that they'll do just fine. And I'm going to approach it with confidence. We'll see what happens.
I look at it kind of like a claim. And when a horse is claimed from one barn to the next, the sooner they run back, the closer to that claim, the more I feel like they run from the other barn, the previous barn, not the new one. So I would think that these horses are going to hold their form in the immediate, and the ones that get longer, closer to the end of that 90 days, maybe that's where we start to see some of the difference. The one thing about the Baffert trainees, and Jeff, you know this, you've seen more workouts at Santa Anita than a lot of folks. Baffert has a team, right? And those horses work together in drills. He's got big horse after big horse after big horse that he can match up. And why he's successful, and maybe, he works them hard, fast, and often. Now, with these new barns and the number of horses that are dispersed here and there, will Tim Yakteen be able to do the same kind of program with those horses? Does he have enough bullets to go out there every 6 days in the morning and put another $500,000 horse up against a $500,000 horse in the morning? That's where we're going to start to see some of it, because the stable's been, there's not attrition to it, but it's been divided up. Rudolph Brisset got a couple in Kentucky. So how will they match up in the morning? I can't wait to watch the XBTV workouts on these horses, see who they're paired up with, how they work, how fast they go. These horses usually 58 workers for Baffert for 5 furlongs, and now they're working 1 minute and 2 for Yakteen or McCarthy. Do they take something off the fastball because they're not Baffert and they don't have the program that he had? This is the interesting part of it for me. So I think the workout tab, the workout videos at XBTV are absolutely critical. And I think the closer you are to this transition, the more you should probably just trust their form and what you see on paper with the horses. If they get a start or two down the line in this 90 days, then you can start to trust them on their new form and their new trainer. But I'm treating it like a claim.
Well, you could be right doing that. I can tell you that neither Sean or Tim work their horses anywhere near as fast as Bob does. But then, of course, they don't have quite the stock either. So there's a reason for that. So, I'll be very interested in seeing not only how they're being trained, but how they run as they get down the road a little bit. Now, as I mentioned, Sean, he's got the 40 horses that Baffert has here at Santa Anita. He's got his own stable. He's got 30 more at Los Al. That might be his biggest challenge, is to try to take all of this new inventory he's got and try to sort it all out. So that's part of the equation as well. Tim only has a few, and he's got the good ones. I mean, the real good ones. So it'll be challenging for the horse player, and we'll just have to. You have to take a wait and see attitude, see how they run, and then adjust accordingly.
Well, half of HRTV is involved in the training now, so I don't know. Maybe you and Aaron Cruzio will get the stable together and pick up a few.
Well, I've got one left. I've got one horse stable with John Sadler, so I could use a few more. But I like looking on the outside, looking in sometimes, and we'll see if my stable will multiply by 100%. Maybe the next couple of weeks or so. You never know.
Your filly's Hail Columbia. We'll watch her and watch all of these horses as they progress towards the Kentucky Derby, and the Baffert horses as they progress towards the new barns. Let's wrap up quickly what we talked about on this first edition of It's Official. The Florida Derby fallout, White Barrio, the winner there. Cyberknife, we cut to the chase at the Arkansas Derby. Secret Oath, we did not like the ride, and we're looking for a new member of Mount Rushmore coming to the Kentucky Oaks. Kathleen O, she's perfect and she keeps getting faster. Can she rise up for this year's Kentucky Oaks? And Kenny McPeak, we think, made the right move, dancing in the Kentucky Derby versus heading to Europe with Tiz the Law. That's going to wrap up our maiden broadcast of It's Official. We said it was official, so now you can book it. We'll talk to you again next week, every Tuesday here with It's Official.